Hello and welcome to the Next in Line podcast, where we are helping to prepare you for whatever is next in line. As always, I am your host, Chance Pitts, and I would like to thank you for tuning into this episode. Guys and gals, welcome into another episode of the Next in Line podcast. I'm very excited to be in here with y'all today, giving y'all another episode in personal development, hopefully giving you something that will help you progress on your journey and help you strive to reach your goals on a daily basis. Guys, we have a couple of announcements I want to get through, but before we get into those, I want to take care of the housekeeping. If you receive value from this episode or any other episode of the Next in Line podcast, I would ask that you share the show with like-minded individuals who could receive that same kind of value. That's the number one way for us to grow this movement, to reach more people, and to help more people reach their goals. That's why we do what we do, guys, to help ordinary people just like ourselves do extraordinary things through discipline and hard work. Now, if you want to help us besides sharing the show, you can also push us up in the search bar a little bit by liking, subscribing, commenting, leaving a rating or review on whatever platform you find yourself listening on. And that's going to help us, like I said, pop up in that search bar a little bit earlier as people look for personal development and self-help type podcasts. Now, you can also keep up with us on social media at Next in Line Development on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. There's some exclusive content on those sites that don't hit the podcast feeds or on YouTube. And you can also reach out to us, let us know how we're doing. You can give us any questions, comments, or concerns that you might have, or reach out if you want to participate in any of the upcoming events that we have. Like I said, that's at Next in Line Development on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. And speaking of events, guys, that's going to take us into our next announcement. We have 2 races coming up in the latter part of this year that we're super, super excited about. Here in just 5 weeks from today, we will be traveling to Clinton, Missouri to toe the line for the Katy 225. It is my first attempt at an ultramarathon over 100 miles, and I'm super stoked to get out there and share the trail with some phenomenal individuals who I've had the pleasure of meeting over the last couple of years, and to have the opportunity to meet some individuals who are veterans in this sport and have been able to do this for a good long time. I'm super excited to get out there and network with those people, but also to be supported by an amazing crew and a great group of pacers who are going to join us out there on the 23rd of October. If you're interested in keeping track of that, guys, I'll be sharing on the social media accounts the link to follow us and to keep track of what we're doing, so be looking for that. Now, besides that race, guys, which is coming up really quick, we have the Brazos Bend 100 on December 2nd out in Needville, Texas. Now, I myself will not be running that race, but I will be out there pacing and crewing for Michael Ruiz, who is going to knock out his first 100-mile ultramarathon. He has done a phenomenal job of being somebody that's gone from not being able to really run because of knee issues and some other things he had going on, to now being somebody who has completed his first ultramarathon and is looking to extend it out and do something truly amazing in the form of his first 100-mile race. Now, we might have some people out there sharing the trail with him in the shorter races as well, as Brazos Bend 100 does offer shorter races, including a half marathon and marathon length. And I know there's one intermediate length as well in the ultra realm out there. So if you're interested in that, guys, and want to share the trail with him as well, make sure that you reach out to us, and we would be happy to support you, let you be part of what we have going on, to use the crew, and if your race allows it, maybe even pacers as well. So reach out, let us know if we can help you with that. The best way to get in contact with us, guys, again, is at Next in Line Development on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So reach out to us there, and we'll see you in December in Needville, Texas for the Brazos Bend 100. Now, guys, as we get into the meat of what this podcast is really intended to be, I want to share something with y'all. Life has been absolutely bonkers here lately. It's been crazy. Between having a 1.5-month-old and trying to navigate and figure out that entire process of what it is, between work going absolutely crazy, we're down half the staff that we used to have whenever I first started this thing, and the revenue has increased by 200, 250, 300% some months. It's been absolutely insane. The phone's ringing off the hook 24/7, and it really feels like, to an extent, you can't get away, right? But it's a blessing and a curse. It's great to be busy. Now, along with that, guys, I've been talking about this race that we have coming up in 5 weeks. We are really in the peak weeks of this race over the course of the next 2 weeks here. Getting into some super long runs, getting into some very, very intentional recovery, some workouts, some different things that take time and energy, from stretching sessions to foam rolling sessions, recovery sessions, cycling so I can save the legs a little bit here and there. Life has been absolutely crazy. And then whenever you add things in, like this past weekend, I had the ability to go out and share in a wonderful, wonderful hunting weekend with some great guys down in Pearsall, Texas, doing some dove hunting here in kind of mid-South Texas, I guess you would call it. We're not way, way down there, but we're far enough south to get some of the benefits of being down here in the brush country. It was great to be out there sharing fields and shooting birds with some awesome people, and also participating in some just really cool competitions that we have set up down there. It's become a traditional trip and something that we've really, really enjoyed doing on an annual basis. But the problem is, whenever you have these outlying events, whenever you have these one-time things that come in and kind of throw everything off, it can really mess with your discipline. It can really mess with all the things that you have going on in life. And it can throw a wrench in the gears of the schedule that you might have laid out for yourself, especially if you've got all kinds of crazy things going on, just like myself. And I know that y'all do, because we're all on the same path. We're all on that path of self-improvement that involves not only just ourselves and what we're doing to make ourselves better physically and mentally and in a career sense and financially and all these different avenues, but also it involves the schedules of our families and the investment of time with them and our friends and all the people that we care about, and even our jobs and all those different things we're trying to balance. So I know y'all know where I'm coming from on that, guys. But on the flip side of all of this, not to reel back too far, but I want to remind everybody that we've all got seasons of life that we're in. We've all got the seasons of life that we feel like we're really putting everything together and putting a nice bow on it. We're staying on top of things. We're staying disciplined. We're dedicated to our success. We're dialed in on making sure that we have all of our stuff taken together. And it feels like we're just knocking things out of the park. And that might be a season that you're in. And if you're there, I congratulate you, because right now I'm in a little bit of a different season. Things are a little hectic. Things are all over the map. And because of that, you kind of end up with situations like yesterday for me. You see, whenever I got back from the hunting trip Sunday morning, which was yesterday, I was absolutely, utterly exhausted. We stayed up too late. We were on our feet way too much out there. We were running around in the heat, doing all kinds of events and competitions, from pool to cornhole to skeet shooting contests, and mixed all that in with the hunting and playing a little bit of cowboy out there, trying to help take care of some cows as well. It was very, very intense. It was not an environment that was conducive to any kind of recovery or rest or gearing up for any trainings that I might have on the backside of a weekend like we had. So whenever I got home, it was very, very much a situation where I got a case of the I don't want tos. It was, I don't want to unload my truck. I don't want to get my gun out of there, all the decoys, the cooler, the pillow and blanket I had to take, all the clothes that I had, my hunting vest, all these different things, shotgun shells, snacks, all the things that I took to make sure that this trip was a good, solid one, had to be unloaded, had to be reorganized, had to be put away, washed, cleaned, whatever it took to get it back on track. And it was extremely frustrating, because whenever you have a case of the I don't want tos and have so much to do, it really gets you in a bind. And then shortly after that, guys, being as tired as I was because of the lack of sleep and because of having to get up early, get home, and start to reorganize things, whenever I had the opportunity to sit down and spend time with my wife and our 1.5-month-old that I really was missing a lot this weekend, more than I anticipated. It's not something you fully expect going into this thing, especially when you're somebody that is like me, not really an emotionally charged person in that sense, but really, really missed them and getting to spend time. I had a little bit different case of the I don't want to's. I got to where I didn't want to stop hanging out with them. I didn't want to take time away from laying down and taking a nap with my daughter resting on my chest. I didn't want to get up and get out of that, because as little as she is and as dumb as it sounds, I could tell she was enjoying me being home. And I was absolutely enjoying being home and being back in that situation. I had missed both my wife and my daughter dearly. So the case that I don't want to shifted to that very quickly. And with that, being as tired as I was, it quickly rolled into the I don't want to's and the I don't want to get up and run the 30-mile training run that I had on the books. But that evening I did make myself get up, and at 7 p.m. I started with my run, and it led way, way out after I battled some stomach issues and had some other things going on into the 1 and 2 o'clock hours, trying to finish up that long, long and tiring training session yesterday. And on the backside of that, the reason why I'm sitting in here and recording this and why this podcast episode is in fact almost a full day late is because whenever I got back, guys, I got a case of the I don't want to's with this podcast. I was able to get over all of those, but I did realize that with as exhausted as I was on the backside of the 30 miles and the lack of sleep from the weekend, I realized I wasn't going to put out a quality podcast, and I wasn't going to put out something that was conducive to what we're trying to do here, guys, with progressing every single time that we get on here and putting out a message that was valuable to each and every one of you that takes time and invests their time and energy into this movement that we have going on here. So the truth of the matter is, a couple of times yesterday, it took everything I had to not throw in the towel, to not get away from all of my responsibilities, to choose to turn away from those things and to take the easy road out. And really, really looking back on it, it's a challenging situation because missing one run, because I didn't want to get up and go run, missing one run wouldn't have been the be-all, end-all thing that screwed up this training block. Not unloading my truck yesterday wouldn't have been the end of the world. I could have, woke up a little later today and been a little late to work, but got it unpacked today. There's even a point where I ran my training run in 3 roughly 10-mile loops. And I got back after my second loop, and I had some stomach issues, and I had some nutritional issues, and I got behind and kind of bonked, if you're familiar with that term. And really, really just went to a dark place with my run, and I really wanted to call it quits right about the 21 mile mark where I was in my run. And I really had those I don't want to's. And more than that, it was dark, and the loop I was running ran way out of town, and it was kind of a little sketchy out there between the dogs and all the cars coming around corners and over hills way too fast, and being alone and out there by myself, where knowing I wouldn't be able to call my wife and have her there in 2 minutes even though I was right around the corner, because we have a daughter now that she would have to get up, get in the car seat, get strapped in, take the time to do all these things, and get her safely out there with me as well. So it was one of those situations where I had the I don't want to's going out there on the last loop, because I kind of talked myself out of it almost from a safety standpoint. I said, man, if anything was to happen to me out there, if I found myself in a situation, if I got treed by some dogs or something like that, I wouldn't be able to get out of there for a long time. So, I started considering all these crazy factors, and I started adding all these just kind of insult to injury style, just piling on all of the reasons why I shouldn't go out there. And it started to be really rational to me, and it started to make a lot of sense, having stomach issues and nutritional issues, and it not being safe, and it being super dark, and I was really tired, and it really didn't matter if I finished the run or not this deep into a training schedule. The I don't want to started to win out. But then I really dialed in and took the time to think about what I was doing to myself. And that's when I realized how important those I don't want 2 miles really, really were for me. The thing that made me take the time to get my stomach right, refuel, take a deep breath, get everything together, and then even though I was tired, even though my legs hurt, even though I didn't want to go out there and be alone in the dark, and even though I didn't want to be out there in somewhat of a quote-unquote sketchy situation, the reason that made me get out that door is that I realized I'm 5 weeks away from the biggest challenge I've ever taken on in my life. And this challenge is representative of me doing challenging things. It trains me for the situations that are going to come up in life that are extremely rough, that are ones that I don't want to deal with, that are ones that I'm going to have to push through and persevere. And that's a big part of the reason why I do these races and take on the challenges that I do, because of the lessons it teaches me in resiliency and discipline and all of these factors. And whenever I really started to consider everything, and I really started to look at what those miles meant and what this race means, I also started to realize that, man, 225 miles. How many I don't want to miles do you think there will be in a race like that? I'm willing to bet that the new wears off pretty quick in a race like this. I'm willing to bet that falling back on discipline instead of living in this just kind of wave of motivation that washes over you, I bet that's something that has to happen in pretty short order out there on the trail. I bet that when it gets dark through that first night, or especially into that second night, whenever we're, 40, 50, 60, maybe even hours into this race, deep into these times when we're not where we want to be progress-wise, or maybe we are, but it's just getting dark again for the second time, and having to deal with that and really understand what that means with being out there exhausted and just physically worn out. I bet there's a whole lot of those I don't want 2 miles. And it really made me tie all of that once again back into life. There's been so many situations where it would have been easier to throw in the towel. It would have been easier to not go after what I wanted, to not pursue the goals, to not try to advance to that next level, to not lose the weight that I wanted to lose, to not push to the new distance of racing and the new level of racing that I want to push myself to not stay disciplined and make good financial decisions or good career moves to where I can progress towards the life that I want to provide for my family. And it all started to make a lot more sense whenever I considered those specific things. And there's a couple takeaways I had from that I wanted to take just a second to share with y'all. And the fact of the matter is, whenever you get to that point of the I don't want 2 miles, whenever you get to the point of the difference, the finishing it out, the doing the things that you don't want to do but you understand and know the importance of, whenever you are dialed in and everyone's right there beside you, ready to throw in the towel, ready to not progress, ready to not do more, to not take on these challenges and continue further down on the line, you've really got to realize something. You've got to realize that 95% of people that you come across in this life, especially in the society that we live in today, 95% of the people aren't going to go and do those I don't want 2 miles. They're not going to step up to the plate. They're not going to stay disciplined. They're not going to really stay committed when the wolf is at the door, when the jig is up, when things are looking grim. And that's where the difference is. That's where you dial it in. That's where you separate yourself from those that aren't going to make it. You see, as we get into this life and as we get into these situations where society's turning more towards ease and is turning more towards situations where nobody's trying to put their nose to the grindstone and just work and work and work, you get more into a spot where people are apt to try to get things the easy way, where people are apt to get complacent in the spot they're in, and their expectations and their privilege tends to shine through. But if you're the kind of person that can put their nose down, that can grind it out, that can really stay dedicated to the process the way you have to whenever the I don't want 2 miles come along, that can make all of the difference in your situation. It can make all of the difference in your progression and your trajectory within your career, within your finances, within your personal development, within your weight loss, whatever it is. So just know that 95% of those people that reach that spot with you are going to turn around. They're going to call it quits. They're going to throw in the towel whenever it gets to that point. But with that said, 100% of the people that reach that point will have an opinion about how you should do it. And that's where it's important to make sure that you understand who's around you. Make sure you understand their motives. Make sure you understand that there are crabs in the bucket that want to see you fail because they can't do it. And that's where you have to dial in. That's where you have to strap on your shoes, tie up your laces, refill your water bottles, go out there and grind it out just a little bit more. And guys, if 95% of people aren't going to go that far once they get to that point, they're not going to choose to go back out and continue pushing themselves, then there's going to be the other 5% that are there right beside you. And not only do those 5% understand the mindset and they support you, and they're the kind of individuals that are going to want to see you succeed, and they're going to push you, and they're going to compete, and they're going to try to bring out the best in you. And it's not going to be something that's aggressive or petty, or they're not going to come out and try to be malicious and take you down, or have any kind of just shitty approach to what you're trying to do, because they understand the process. They understand what it takes to push through and to go that extra mile and to really strive for more. Those 5% are going to be right there supporting you. And you've got to understand that no matter how easy they make it look, no matter where they are in their journey, whether they're 10 years more experienced with you, whether they're just starting out, or whether they're right along with you. Whenever you're deep into those miles and you're in the I don't want to spot, you're going to be hurting. It's going to suck. You're not going to want to continue. It's just like every race I've ever been in, there comes a point where things just kind of, in a way, fall apart. You become sore, your ankles start hurting, your knees start hurting, your muscles are all sore and swollen and kind of stiff. But the truth of the matter is, every single one of those people that are there with you, the 5% that chose to keep going, they're going through the exact same thing. Don't give your pain a voice. Don't share that with anyone. Don't let anyone see the weakness. But show strength. Help them continue on through that strength. And find the things to keep yourself pushing on. Because that's how you keep progressing through those miles. And then lastly, this one goes without saying, guys. But whenever you get to those miles, whenever you get to that point of the I don't want tos, and you choose to push through that, and you choose to grind, you choose to go through the adversity that is sometimes literally just smacking you in the face over and over, that's tripping you. It's the tree roots on the trail that are taking you down whenever you feel like you're finally starting to make a little bit of progress. It's the stomach issues you run into out there. It's the excuses that you find out there to not go because it's not safe or it's dark or nobody would be there to help you out. Or maybe you don't have anybody show up to help you through the process, to be with you through the process and to suffer through those miles with you. All of those things that you choose to ignore, that you choose to push through, that you choose to be stronger than, to stay disciplined through, those are where you truly grow. Those are the spots where you understand that what you're capable of. You understand that there's more out there and that you're able to take things to a level that you haven't ever been able to do so before. And once you're in that spot, once you're pushing through those extra miles and you're grinding things out, you separated yourself from the other 95%. You're grinding it out with the other 5% who are all hurting too, and you're all out there just killing it. You're out there just pushing as hard as you can. You're going to that next level. You're looking for the next high. That's when you will understand, and that's where you will find and push your true limits. Guys, thanks for letting me talk to y'all and keep this thing going. Thanks for letting me share some of the things I have going on in my life and how I've gone through them. And hopefully this brings you some value. Like I said, if it does, guys, be sure to share the show with somebody. Interact with us. Like, comment, subscribe, leave a rating or review. Be sure to give us a follow on social media to keep up with this race that we have coming up and all the training that we're doing leading up to it, guys. But until then, please, please, please just continue to grind it out. Push through, get through those I don't want to miles, and work on becoming the version of yourself that you truly want to be. Now, guys, take on big things, challenge yourselves every single day, and always be prepared for whatever is next in line.